So since I want this a lot darker, I'm gonna just get my brush wet and I forgot a paper towel. I'm gonna kind of wipe this off because I want a really saturated black. And I am going to paint the bottom here a really dark value of black. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just get water. No paint, just water. I'm washing my brush. I have some water and I'm gonna pull this black paint up a little bit. I can't even see what I'm doing with this glare. Okay, wash again. And I'm gonna pull more. And can you see right here how this is really puddled? I kind of got too much water in there. I don't like that. What I'm doing is I'm drying off my brush. You can use a paper towel. I tend to just use my fingers and I can kind of like soak this back up so that I don't have too much water on my page. And you can also use that technique to add like a little highlight. Once again, I'm being gentle. I am not scraping this paper. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing, just water. And you have to be aware of how quickly your water starts turning gray because that's going to influence the color of your paint. Like if I've been using this water for a long time and I've been using a lot of black, it is going to get dark quickly and it's not gonna give me the lighter value that I want. And now down here, I'm gonna take a look at it. I want this a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna kind of go back over it again. Could I have let it dry first? Yes. But since it's so dark, it would have been hard to get that nice blend that I'm getting. So I wanna do it while it's still wet. And then maybe I'll bring this up. Can you guys see that okay with the, I think that's the best we can do. Okay, so that is one way you can do this. Now, when I go over to this paper, this cloud here is really large, okay? And so what's gonna happen is if I go wet on dry, it's not gonna behave the way I want it to. It's gonna dry and it's gonna leave these lines. You really don't want lines. It happens, it's okay, but you really don't want harsh lines in your watercolor. So to avoid that, for this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do wet on wet because it is a larger area that I'm doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint my cloud first. And I'm not doing like a ton of water for this one. And then I'm gonna go, I kind of have too much water there. Let me try and spread it out a little bit more. Then I'm gonna go in and do the same thing. Getting my, black. And I kind of like how it spreads too. It kind of helps me do what I need to do a little bit easier. And then I'm just gonna continue doing what I did before, okay? The other way you can do it, which for some reason is really, it's a lot harder for me, is you're gonna go light to dark. Normally when we watercolor paint, we do wanna go light to dark because you can always go darker, but you can't always go lighter, right? So if you have something that's too light, you can change it. If it's too dark, you can't. So what I want you to think about is shadows and highlights. If I have this swirl right here, I kind of want the center of the swirl to look like it's coming off of the paper, which means I want this part light and I want the edges to be darker. Hopefully that achieves the effect that this part is kind of popping out a little bit, okay? shadows go backwards, highlights come forward. So you're gonna wanna take that into consideration when you're doing your painting. So did I say I was gonna start with light? I did. So in the middle here, I am going to go in and do wet on wet. And then I'm just gonna, on my palette here, I'm gonna mix up just a really light gray. Because I'm trying to get this to look like it's coming out. That's gonna be a little bit too light. I'm gonna add a little more. And then I'm gonna do the same thing I did before when I was just using water to bring this out. This also helps you to achieve a really nice blend. It's like I was saying, you don't really want harsh lines on your paper. And then I'm taking a look at this, and as you can probably see, there's not a ton of difference. So one thing I can do is right now I can add some more. Oh, I just messed it up. Okay, I just added dark. I didn't want to do that. So real quick, what I'm gonna try and do is that trick I showed you before where you get your brush wet, or not wet, you get your brush dry and you kind of mop it up, okay? So now I just made it darker. That's okay. We're gonna go with it. And then what I wanna do, another way, is to let this dry, okay? Kind of the same way we did our value scale. Hi.
Can you stay here for the free period?
No, because you're not allowed to stay in other teachers' classes during free periods anymore. They changed the rules. Sorry. You have your, okay. The other thing I can do is I can layer. So I'm gonna paint an area, let it dry, paint more of it, let it dry, paint more of it, let it dry. Does this make sense? I want you to try all three ways. I want you to try dark to light. I want you to try light to dark, and I want you to try layering. Remembering that highlights come forward, shadows go back. Questions? Paint this first. I should have been more specific. I want you to practice painting in your sketchbook first. This is where you want to mess around in all your and make all your mistakes, okay? And then start on this one. Okay, that's it.